You ever notice how every AI discussion seems to start with the same question?
You mean, is this going to replace us?
Exactly. Replace jobs. Replace writers. Replace designers. Replace programmers.
And the conversation always sounds serious, responsible, analytical.
But there's something strange about it.
Strange how?
The people having the loudest opinions often aren't the ones actually working with these systems deeply.
So the narrative might be missing something.
The AI replacement story is missing its most important sentence.
What actually changes when humans become producers versus task runners?
Most public conversations assume AI changes work by automating tasks.
Which leads to a simple conclusion: if tasks disappear, jobs disappear.
But that model assumes people are primarily task performers.
Which isn't actually how many professionals create value.
Experienced people aren't just executing steps. They're recognizing patterns, making judgments, directing outcomes.
And when execution becomes cheaper, the value shifts toward those higher-level decisions.
This is the missing sentence. AI doesn't just remove tasks, it changes who can produce.
People who once depended on teams, tools, or budgets suddenly have leverage on their own.
And that's why some people feel threatened, while others feel energized.
Because they're experiencing different versions of the same technology.
The difference isn't intelligence or background, it's interaction behavior.
Which raises a deeper question: what actually changes when someone crosses from task runner to producer?
Here's the sentence people keep skipping. AI doesn't just make tasks faster. It changes who gets to be a producer.
And producer doesn't mean influencer energy. It means you can take an idea and reliably turn it into something real.
Most of the replacement talk assumes people are task runners, waiting for assignments and executing the obvious part.
So the fear sounds logical: if a machine can execute tasks, what's left for me?
But that's like judging music by how fast someone can play scales.
Because the real job isn't produce output. The job is decide what should exist. And keep steering until it does.
When execution gets cheap, the bottleneck moves to judgment.
Meaning the advantage isn't I can type faster, it's I know what good looks like.
And this is where smart people get tricked, because they assume they already know what we mean by taste.
They think it's just preference. Like, blue versus green. Modern versus classic.
But operational taste is diagnostic. It can say, this works. But it's not right yet. And here's why.
That here's why is everything. Vague feedback creates wandering. Precise feedback creates momentum.
So producer mode is basically this: your ideas don't wait for permission anymore.
You can test them, shape them, turn them into media, while everyone else is still planning.
That's why 2 months into 2 days makes headlines. But it's still the surface layer.
The deeper layer is the chain. Once the chain works, you stop paying the restart cost every time you return to a project.
That's when context becomes an asset, not a burden.
And it explains why two people using the same AI can get totally different outcomes.
One treats it like a vending machine. The other builds a working collaboration loop.
And that loop is learnable. It's not become a prompt wizard. It's a set of habits you can practice.
So the real question isn't will AI replace you? It's are you building the judgment layer that can't be commoditized?
Because once you see that, the fear story starts to dissolve, and a completely different story appears.
There's another piece missing from the replacement conversation that almost nobody talks about.
Because most discussions assume humans are doing tasks, instead of shaping outcomes.
And if you assume humans are mainly executing tasks, then yes, replacement looks inevitable.
But if humans are directing, diagnosing, deciding what good looks like, the math changes.
This is where a lot of professionals feel confused right now.
Because they're hearing two completely different futures at the same time.
One future says automation replaces people.
The other says AI is just a tool, nothing fundamentally changes.
Both stories miss the same thing.
The collaboration layer.
And collaboration isn't automatic.
It's something people learn.
Which means the outcomes diverge.
Some people stay at the surface and see modest gains.
Others develop deeper interaction skill. And the leverage compounds.
And from the outside, they both just look like using AI.
Which hides the difference.
This is why the conversation feels so confusing right now.
Because people are seeing different layers of the same technology.
And the deeper layer is where the interesting economic effects live.
Which brings us to the real question.
If collaboration skill changes outcomes,
then what does that skill actually look like?
So here's the sentence people keep skipping. The human role doesn't vanish. It relocates.
And the relocation is subtle, which is why smart people think they already understand it. Until they try to build something real.
Task runners wait for assignments. Producers create the assignment, define the standard, and shape the outcome.
When execution gets cheap, the scarce resource is judgment, knowing what matters, what's wrong, and what right feels like.
That's the inside story. The leverage isn't I can do tasks faster. It's I can steer a chain.
And once you feel that chain click into place, the fear changes shape. It becomes a question, what could I make now?
Because producers don't just use AI. They build a relationship with it, and they keep the human score attached to the output.
This is where people get it backward. They think the skill is clever prompting. The skill is precise direction.
Direction means you can look at an output and say, this is almost right, and here's what's missing.
That's not perfectionism. It's a producer instinct, refusing to settle for works when the vision needs lands.
And here's the twist, AI doesn't remove taste. It makes taste more valuable, because execution no longer protects mediocrity.
In the old economy, your advantage was, I can do the hard thing. In the new one, it's I can choose the right thing.
So when people say AI will replace us, what they're really describing is the task runner tier.
And that's why the conversation feels so loud. We're arguing about the floor, while the leverage is upstairs.
The point of this series is to give people a ladder, a practice, not a pep talk.
Because the missing sentence isn't comforting. It's demanding, you have to learn to direct.
That's what producer versus task runner really means, not status, responsibility for the outcome.
And if you've been anxious, I want you to hear this, you don't have to master everything. You just have to begin the practice.
Start small, one real project, one real standard, and one habit, refusing the first adequate answer.
That single habit forces the shift from consumption to production. And once it starts, it compounds.
And in part 2, we'll look at the practice that looks like nothing, how ordinary conversations with AI quietly build context and turn into solutions that surprise even you.
Because once you see that process working, something changes. You stop feeling like you're keeping up with technology, and start realizing you might actually have an advantage.